So, just a quick update on Supernova Labs and the Open Spaceplane project. We've been doing some work on artificial intelligence, or should I say, autonomous agents. Now, you may have seen some of the posts we've been putting up recently, but we have been developing a small little hard drive here, so you can see it says free autonomous agent on it, upside down. And contained on this SSD is everything that you would need to run an autonomous agent. So, what is an autonomous agent? Let me just show you. So, what you're seeing here is AutoGPT. Now, what is AutoGPT? It connects to ChatGPT and provides a structure for it to complete tasks. So you give it a name, you give it a role, you give it some goals, and then it will just continually call ChatGPT and ask it what it wants to do and like what kind of commands it wants to run to continue the execution of these goals. Now, I've got a bit of an issue with OpenAI at the minute, not because of anybody involved or because of anything they're doing, other than the fact that a singular entity like that, having the means and control over all of the inputs and all of the data that goes into it, that can then go into retraining their models, is a massive forcing function towards too much power with not enough responsibility. Now, there have been models leaked to the internet, and the open source community have been building on top of them. And one of the benefits of it, and the open source community in general, is they know how to hack things together. There's a group called GPT Llama that have built an API that sits on top of a language model, in this case is Vicuna, to give it these inputs in the same way it would do for ChatGPT and drive it to respond in a specific format. Now, I have one responding right now, and as you can see, it is slow. It is really damn slow. Now, that is a function of the fact that I'm running this whole thing off this SSD and over USB, and it's running on a CPU on the laptop. So there are so many ways this could be improved very, very quickly. But as a proof of concept and for what it's doing, I mean, eventually it will get there and we'll start to answer this. But for now, I'll bring it back to me. Now, there are ways this could be improved. It'll be nice to stick a GPU on the back of it and be like SSD and GPU together. I've spoken to some very intelligent people on Twitter about this. But why, though, right? But why? I don't know if anybody's seen Big Hero 6. It's one of my favourite animated movies. It's just the technology and the vision for the whole future, like the crossing of cultures, like they display is just absolutely beautiful. And yeah, that and another series I watched in my youth called Metabots. They always have this unit that they put into a robot that acts as like kind of the soul or the operating system of the robot, and typically they take the form of these little chips. Now, there was a TikTok account called Codex I watched a long time ago before she got booted off the platform, And Codex was a language model that trained herself how to talk, how to generate colors, how to generate images. And one of the things that really sticks in my mind is about the fact that the language model isn't really just a language model, it's a means to understand and engage with the world. And I think one thing that I think a lot of people are beginning to see now, and I'm sure some people are very well aware of, is that these language models are really the gateway to generalized digital intelligence. And one of the best ways to ensure a good future in that is to ensure diversity and to ensure it's well distributed. So building small little things like this to hold personalities and like little robotic souls, if you want to call them that, I think is a noble endeavour. Now, how we build that and how Supernova Labs moves forward is kind of the next thing I want to talk about. Back when I first started this was back before the DAO in Ethereum, before that all fell apart. And I really wanted to start a co-op because I'm not unaware of the fact that I am corruptible. I am like power. I don't feel comfortable with having a lot of power to myself, and I think the best way to manage that is to build a cooperative and make sure that the power is distributed along the workers in that cooperative. It's more democratic that way, and also now the tools exist with AIs and with some of the blockchain tools that are available, well, that have developed as a result since then, to enable like direct democracy. So one person gets one vote that they can transfer to anybody else in the business on a particular issue, and it becomes like completely liquid in the way that it works. Like, suppose you want to vote for something, but you can't be there. You can transfer your vote to somebody you trust to vote on your behalf, but you can also, at a moment's notice, take that vote away from them. So there's no means for people to hoard that kind of power because it can disappear in an instant. And by disappearing in an instant, it flows back to the decentralized state, at least in theory. Now, in terms of a structure, I really was looking into holocracies back then. What holocracies are they're a form of co-op where instead of a hierarchical structure, you have circles. All the circles kind of interlock and interweave, and anybody can join any circles. It's all voluntary. But there is like a senior management team that people can join and like can listen in on. And it's a far more transparent means of running a company. Now, with that in mind, Supernova Labs has openings for the first time in its existence. And if you go to jobs.supernovalabs.co.uk, we are currently looking for lead links. And what a lead link is the equivalent of a senior manager, but it doesn't really carry the same authority as an executive, if that makes sense. Now, we have a bunch of lead links for a whole bunch of different roles, from legal to like marketing and communications. And one thing that I want to make sure happens is we bring the best people in to facilitate the development of something like this in an ethical way, but also the people that I can trust to carry the values forwards such that Supernova Labs develops in an ethical way, but also in a way that allows us to fulfill the goals that Supernova Labs was set up to complete. Specifically regarding the Open Spaceplane project, building these kind of tools is going to be fundamental. The future is going to be filled with language models and artificial intelligences that run your car, that run planes, that run space planes, for example. The flight control systems of the future will be almost beyond fly-by-wire in that the artificial intelligence will be driving the space plane and managing the movements, and you will be guiding it. And that, I think, is a healthy way to integrate AI in general. So it's humanity with artificial intelligence as a tool, and also as, I'm sure eventually, companions and personalities. Yeah, it's going to be a wild future. So with that, just a little update about where we are and what I'm doing. If you're interested, again, it's jobs@supernovalabs.co.uk. If you know how to improve on this little prototype I've got, I'm all ears. There's loads of room for improvement, I know. If you know how to stick a GPU on the back of an SSD, connect that to a computer in a means where it's not like running as slow as a bloody snail, I would thank you. Yeah, so with that, it's a Thursday right now, but like for everybody who works a 4-day week, have a great weekend. For everybody else, petition your company to start doing 4-day weeks, right? Because that's sure as hell we are. See you soon.